Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hatfield, thank you for your very compelling testimony. As you know, one of the Biden administration's answers to increase migration at the border is to expand legal pathways. As Title 42 was set to expire earlier this month, the United States announced its opening of regional processing centers all over the hemisphere. They will be starting in Guatemala and Colombia, and then expanding to other countries, including Mexico. This seems like a positive step by the administration to build up its capacity to take increased numbers of refugees before they ever even make that dangerous journey to our southern border. Would you agree with that? And what do you think the United States needs to do to make these regional processing centers a success?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I also agree with Chief Scott's assessment about the overuse of parole. The administration needs to rely more on the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program as a lawful pathway, with a pathway to permanent residence and ultimately citizenship and suitable vetting, and less on humanitarian parole, and this is definitely a step in the right direction, so I hope those centers are resourced. One of the key strategies that's going to have to be implemented, though, is you have to make those centers for asylum seekers with legitimate claims more attractive than crossing the border to seek asylum. So you have to look at things that have been used in the past with the refugee program, like the Lautenberg Amendment, and apply that to their applications. You have to make sure that that their applications are processed expeditiously and fairly. So yes, but I'm absolutely supportive of that measure.
If you listen to my colleagues, you would think that the United States is bearing the brunt of the global refugee crisis alone. HIAS works all over the world, as you said. It's simply not true. Can you discuss how other countries in the hemisphere are seeing significant increases in the number of asylum claims?
Yeah, absolutely, and it really is a global refugee crisis, and we are just one player in this global refugee crisis. I mean, Colombia alone, which was traditionally a refugee-producing country, is now taking in refugees. Millions of Venezuelans, over 2.5 million Venezuelans have sought refuge in Colombia, where HIAS operates. Likewise, over 1.5 million in Peru, over 500,000 in Ecuador. Over nearly 500,000 in Chile. I mean, if you look at every single country in the hemisphere, there are many asylum seekers, most of them coming from Venezuela, but also from Central America and even outside of the Western Hemisphere seeking asylum. And so this really requires international attention, and the U.S. has to lead on this issue.
And it's my understanding that HIAS is actually helping some of these individuals apply for asylum in other countries. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. I mean, HIAS's number one job is to make asylum seekers safe and secure and welcome wherever they are. And that's in the first countries to which they flee. And when that fails, then we try to find them third countries, but again, through safe and orderly means like refugee resettlement. Our operations have expanded massively over the last few years because of the refugee crisis and the Venezuelan migration crisis in particular throughout the Western Hemisphere.
And as you pointed out, refugee admissions and the need to assist refugees has always been a bipartisan concern until recently. In fact, I remember the testimony of somebody from the National Evangelical Association saying that our refugee resettlement program is the crown jewel of humanitarian assistance. Mr. Hatfield, I wanted to see if you could discuss misinformation and how it spreads among migrants who are making the long journey to the border. Can you discuss how rumors and misinformation spread by the cartels of an open border impacts the number of migrants that we see trying to come to the United States?
Sure, and it's massive, but it's not all misinformation. I mean, they're spreading misinformation and also information about how broken our border and our immigration system is. And that is an attractant to people to come in, to apply for asylum and other benefits to which many of them are not actually entitled.
Thank you, Mr. Hatfield. I couldn't agree more. I think our words matter, and I think that you're pointing out of the importance of really establishing a functioning immigration system is absolutely crucial. As the ranking member of the full committee said in his opening statement, it is unfortunately seen as an advantage by many of our colleagues across the aisle to leave our immigration system broken so that we can continue to point fingers at immigrants who are simply trying to do what so many of our forebearers have done, come to the United States because It is a country that has protected so many people fleeing terrible persecution and many other ills. I thank you for your testimony today and for being with us. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
The chair recognizes Mr. Tiffany from Wisconsin for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chief Scott, isn't it correct that many of these people are not asylum seekers, that they're actually not legitimate asylees?